welcome to Revelator Alpha. It's a radio podcast thing, don't you know? Yeah, I'm selling up. I am selling up. I feel a bit gutted with myself, really, but there we go. I'll be digging into that a little bit later on. What's going on? So I've had to rearrange a few things. Been in conversation with the money men, as it were, and yeah, things need to change, and yeah, so I'm having to sell up. I don't know what to make of it, really, but there we go. You know, on to pastures new, new projects, new things to do. So I thought I'd bring this to you. I'm also going to be digging into all the latest motorcycle stories, and also, whilst I haven't put it in the title, that's why I'm not doing any clickbaity type stuff. I've got a huge story about Harley Davidson CVOs. Yeah, just coming out. It's just been leaked in the last couple of hours. So that's why you got to watch the live shows. You've got to watch the live shows to see what's what and see what's going on. As I say, it's let me just do this. There we go. Right, I've got the chat open for you as well, and you can support the channel by all the social pages that are out there, and obviously the PayPal and the Patreon if you want to support the channel and help see it grow further. I've just checked all the streams. Just make sure that's all working. Yes, that's all going good. I've got a couple on YouTube and a couple on Twitch as well. This is going out live on Twitch and on YouTube as well for you. But there we go. Just get rid of that. And so there's lots of stories out there, and I just thought I'd bring it over to you guys. Let us know where you're from, where you're listening from, where you're watching from. If you're watching this later on. What you're up to do, where you're riding. Are you back riding yet? You know, spring has been been very slow to take hold this year, I think, where we are. So still lots of cold days. I was coming back last night from a meal with some friends and some work colleagues and friends last night, and got back, and I got to say, it was I wasn't wearing my heated jacket, but I was wearing my heated gloves on battery power this time. Usually I have them wired to the bike, but I thought I'd just go on battery power. And it was cold, but it wasn't so cold. So I think I lucked out. But there was grit and salt all over the road. So I think they were expecting a really cold night. But hey, I made it back in one piece, no problem. And I was able to sit down in front of the TV and then start watching some of my favourite TV programs as well. But anyway, I digress. As I say, if you're watching later on, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But if you're watching now, say hello, Morris. Hello, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining. Okay, so. As I say, there's lots going on all the social media pages, especially the website. The website, revelatoralpha.com, is where I'm making lots of blog posts now, lots of spec sheets for 2023 bikes. I'm updating that on a daily basis now, but also blog posts are going out through all the social media pages as well. So go check that out. I'm going to cover a few of the stories over the last few days that have gone out on the website here today as well. But primarily, I'm going to be talking about a few things later on. Also, what's going on with the channel, and also why I'm selling up, or why I'm selling certain things. Let's say, okay, let me just get into some of the first stories here, and see. Here we go. Right, let me do that. There we go. Right. So the first story here is from BMW again. Our friends at BMW. If you're not aware, Daytona Bike Week in Florida has just gone on, and obviously lots of custom bike builders go down there. A mecca for motorcycling, of course. It's a great place, Daytona, actually. I quite enjoyed it when I went there. But anyway, so BMW have just, they teamed up with this kind of quite a famed motorcycle designer or custom designer Fred Codlin. I think that's Codlin, his name. And they've produced this bike. It's an R18B, R18B, so it's the bagger version with the fairing. But they've just obviously customized it. When you look at this bike, it is very much for me, because the colours and the way it's sitting and the way it's been, all the bags have been extended and they put air ride suspension on it, I suppose, to actually lower it down to the ground. It looks as if, somebody's, got their acrylics out, mixed it all around, and just thought, let's go all psychedelic on this little one. It looks very much a Florida bike, if you know what I mean. It looks very much only somebody who rides in the sunshine states of the United States would dare to have something like this, if you know what I mean. Maybe people over in other parts of the world or in other areas would ride it. I always appreciate the engineering and the skill required to do custom bikes, of course. But the finish of them, what they look like in the end, I think, oh, no, not for me. Do you know what I mean? But as I say, if this bike was just in black, as it were, or a single colour or two-tone colour, none of the fancy graphics or anything like that, I'd be quite, quite favourable towards it. But because it's, it's got lots of this sort of stuff on it. Wrong one. It's the detail on it is really impressive, I've got to say. But then you start coming towards all this and all the colours and everything. I just think, the more I look at this R18, the more I like it. The problem is that the R18 is coming under a lot of criticism. I'm not sure if that's the right word actually, but excuse me. A lot of people it's coming under a lot of criticism for people who are thinking that it's not a highway riding bike, especially for the United States, because you can't stretch out your feet like on highway pegs. It's not really designed for that kind of riding. I think it is. I think you've just got to get used to, not having your feet out there. I mean, I much prefer having my legs, if I can just put my no, you can, my legs out straight, my knees out straight, and my legs down as a riding position, rather than having my feet out, like that, as it were. But there we go. Tony Price, hello, good afternoon. Thank you, and welcome to the show. So I would say I'm quite. I think the R18 looks a bit goofy. I'll give you that in terms of the engine, the way it sticks out there as well. But I do like it. I do like the bike. I don't like the R18, the original, the classic, or whatever it's called, the first one when I first rode it. And you go back on the channel and watch it. I didn't like the exhaust on it, and I didn't like all the chrome on it. And I think, especially on the roads where I ride, it would just look like a bag of spanners all the time. But I think if you've blacked it out and customized it in a really cool way, I think it looked really cool. And but then they brought out the R18B, the bagger, and then the Transcontinental, which is the Tourer. They've got more coming, apparently. They've got more variations of the R18 as well coming. This is BMW as well. So, I think the R18 has become quite a decent bike, I think, a really good alternative. It's never going to sell in the numbers, let's say, to compete with Harley Davidson, for example, or even Indian. But I think it's a decent bike. It's a decent shout. And that lots of people who ride it, and me included, yeah, it's a great bike. It's a really nice bike. It's got this nice reverse gear on it as well. But in terms of this bike here, the way that it's, I don't know. Let me know what you think of the colours on this bike, the paint scheme. As I say, I definitely appreciate the skill. I suppose I would have been less, eyebrow raising if it didn't have all the swirls on it. If it was just like black and turquoise, I think. But if this is a taste thing, isn't it? This is what you like is in a bike. If you like this kind of thing, fine. If you don't, you don't. And I've always loved custom bikes. and custom bike building, I've just never been a fan of flashy paintwork or bodywork that's just totally unnecessary, if you know what I mean. It's Salvador Dali vibes, yes, especially with the mounted type thing. Yes, yeah, absolutely. There is a bit of that. I mean, but it looks nice. As I say, the 18B is, I do like it. So I don't know the technical specifications of the, the radio or the infotainment system and everything like that. I don't have that to memory right now. But what sort of speakers are those? They're not Marshall speakers, are they? Well, the Marshall speakers are quite they're well known. They're a good make, aren't they? And that's what all bands use. Is their speakers and their amps, Marshall amps, isn't it? So is that? Yeah, if you're aware of this bike, let us know, the R18. Whether this is just a sound system that they've put in themselves, I'm not really 100% sure. But anyway, listen, that R18. You can go to my website. You can read it. You can go to this website here, Auto Blog. It's in many of the press right now, so they've covered this story quite a bit. Okay, so that's that one. Let's get on to the next one here. Harley Davidson have announced, and they are not alone in this, that they've announced their 2023 season opener test ride dates, and this is for the UK, right? But I think Triumph, BMW, I'm not sure about Indian, but there's a few. I think Kawasaki have done it. I think maybe Suzuki have done it. Anyway, there's various manufacturers who, the spring riding is approaching, so they're saying, okay, we're either going to do some kind of road show, we're trying to market our bikes and everything like that. So, Harley Davidson, this is the latest manufacturer to do it, and they're just announcing their dates. The season opener is set for the 25th to the 26th of March, with free test rides on a range of motorcycles available. It's interesting when they say free test rides, because every time I go, Harley Davidson have done this quite a while, and actually many dealerships do this now. They charge you to go on a test ride, and it's like £15, and the reason why, well, it could be £20 or whatever, and usually it's to cover like insurance policy and premiums and stuff like that. And I suppose it's a decent thing, because if you don't take it out and you bin the bike, then you might be liable for the expense of the bike or the cost of repairs. So at least you've got some, but you still might have to pay £800 or £1,000 just in case you damage the bike. But you're not paying for the whole bike, let's put it that way. So, but anyway, they're saying free test rides. So it'd be interesting when they say free. Would that mean that you still have to pay the £15 or not, or whether they're going to allow you to, just literally take them out? A whole host of motorcycles are available from the Milwaukee mark, including. So I mean, they've got all the bikes, but only some are highlighted here. So I'm assuming only the bikes that are in bold, like the Nightster, Road Glide, ST, Sportster S, Fat Bob, Heritage Classic 114, Pan America 1250 Special, Street Bob, and Lowrider ST, are the ones that you can try out. But they've got the whole, they've got Fat Boy, Street Glide Special, Ultra Limited, Sport Glide, Street Glide ST also there, but they're not highlighted. So I was, or in bold, I should say. So maybe, it's not. Let's have a look. Beyond choosing motorcycle you want to test, for the sign-up process for this season opener remains straightforward. You only need to enter some personal details, answer a couple of questions regarding your motorcycle experience, and locate the dealer that will host your specific ride. I would be interested to see if you're charged for these test rides, because if you are, then I think you can actually say, hold on, these are supposed to be free test rides, not £15. I mean, some people will go, well, it's neither here or there. And let's not forget that, they want people to test ride their bikes. This is not just Harley Davidson. This is any motorcycle manufacturer, right? Or dealership. They want you to test ride their bikes so that you can have a chance of thinking, hey, I think I might want to buy one of these. So some people, they don't care whether they pay the £15 or not. Other people might be put off by it. They say, well, you want me to test ride your bike, but you're charging me for it? So I suppose, there we go. Tony Price, Chichester, West Sussex, and rider. Oh, you're from Chichester, lovely part of the world, Chichester, West Sussex, and rider 48 Sportster, and a West up the Hammers. That's right. We're not doing very well, are we? But there you go, Tony. The more I reveal that I'm a football fan, let's say. This is going off on a complete tangent here, but the more I reveal, or have revealed over the last couple of year or so, that I'm a big football fan, and football and motorcycling for my whole life has run parallel interests, parallel passions, I suppose, the better word, right? The more I hear of people who tell me, I'm into bikes, I'm a biker, but also love football as well. So when I was growing up, and for many, many years, most of the people who I knew loved motorcycles and who I hung out with, they hated football. They couldn't stand it. I was the only ones, but now obviously, so it's refreshing to hear that there are many other people out there. So Tony, welcome to the show. TM13A, hello, how are you? And thank you for joining as well. So that's Harley Davidson. I would imagine that the manufacturers of all manufacturers are going to be doing this, in all countries. If you are, especially in the northern hemisphere, if we're entering into the spring right now, they would be offering test rides and stuff like that. Zipping Bow. Zipping Bow, what a great name. Biker football fan, awesome. Yes, well, I like to think I'm awesome. Thank you very much. Everybody's awesome, especially me. Right, okay, let's get into this next one. Oh, no, wrong one. Okay, here we go. Again, I ran this story on the website as well. Harley Davidson and Indian, they've released or they've announced recently their King of the Baggers race teams and their hooligan race teams and everything. The first race just went on this last weekend at Daytona Bike Week at the Daytona International Speedway, is it called? I can't remember what it's called. As you drive into Daytona, you'll see it. It's on the right hand side. You can't miss it, basically. And so when I was there, it was just but anyway, it was just there. But anyway, because Harley Davidson didn't win last year, they came a measly second, but Indian took all the spoils last year. But anyway, Harley Davidson have come back fighting, but I don't think the factory team won. I think it was Vance and Hines. Harley Davidson won one of the races. I don't know who the other winner was. Let's have a look. Yeah, it doesn't say here. Yeah, no, this is just announcing their team anyway. Yeah, so let's go. And they've basically given a few test rides. It's the Wyman brothers who are riding the bikes this year, and they've given a few test rides for a few press and motorcycle YouTube channels and website holders as well. So you might see some footage of these bikes coming out as well. Just be that the public, let's say, have been able to get hold of as well. Let's not forget that Indian Motorcycles have just released, and I'll bring up the story in a minute. They've just released, or they will be making available 29 race prepared or race spec Indian Challengers for public to buy as well. So that'd be really interesting. But anyway, so they both released their teams, and the season has started. If you're into that kind of thing, right? If you're into motorcycle racing, but I kind of always was aware of the King of the Baggers and everything from the Harley Davidson, but an Indian. But I've got to say, hand on heart, it was only in the last year that I kind of took it anywhere seriously. I just thought it was a bit of a gimmick, to be quite honest with you. Big heavy bikes and all that sort of stuff. So I just thought, rubbish. And then last year I saw a couple of races. I thought, oh, okay, right. And then it was only until I spoke to the race engineer, or the race mechanic from the Screaming Eagle, Harley Davidson Screaming Eagle factory team, that I started to probe a lot more and have more of a respect for it. But it's interesting, when I spoke to the race engineer or mechanic, he was basically saying, look, these big heavy bikes, they got super bike performance, but they're nowhere going to last as long because they're too big and the tyres can't handle it. So they're 10 or 11 laps, I think that's what they do, and the tyres are screwed, basically, absolutely screwed. So there's a picture somewhere, I saw it the other day, I think it was on Instagram or somewhere like that. One of the race teams, I think it couldn't have been Harley Davidson race team or the Indian race team, their rider showed a photo of their tyre, I think it was a front tyre, and it's just completely delaminated. It is just talk about shredding tyres. This thing is completely shredded. It is just like, wow, you're right on. I'm assuming it just happened right at the last minute, but that yeah. So because they're so heavy, you're putting so much power and forces through those tyres. I mean, this is where you have like say land speed records. So any of you listening, you're into your land speed records. I'm not, obviously. I don't know that much about it, but what I do know is that one of the limiting factors of land speed records, and certainly in hyper speeds, is the tires. So you'll have situations, especially with cars, where they don't run on rubber compounds, they run on something else, or they run on just steel wheels and things like that. Yes, TM13. Yes, that's right. Indian took home the hooligan bike, Super Hooligans. Yes, that's right. Mission Foods Progressive Indian Motorcycle Racing Team took 1-2. Yes, that's right. They did. They did. Robbie Clark, hello. I've never been into motorcycle racing, but this King of the Bags is so ridiculous and quirky that I can't help but love it. I think that's what I thought about it. It's just so ridiculous but quirky. But then more I've got into it, the more I think the problem is that you're looking at something where I look at it from a purist point of view. I say, well, a bike, to be a racing bike, it's got to be light, it's got to be the best technology, and it's so on and so forth. But then here you're going completely opposite. You're going really, really heavy. You're going something that's just not, it shouldn't be on a racetrack. But then you think, actually, it's quite fun, right? So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, I can't remember how many races they're doing this year. I think it's 10 races or 10 meetings as well. Hey, let's see how all parties do. But really, it's just a 2-horse race, isn't it? It's between Indian and Harley Davidson. Whilst there are different teams, they're either running a Harley or an Indian. Now, the hooligan races, if you're watching, that's much more diverse in terms of bikes and manufacturers or teams running different manufactured bikes as well. So, if you're into a more diverse kind of racing, whether Harley Davidson, Indian, BMW, that kind of thing, whatever, KTM, I think, I'm not sure if Honda have got a team in there as well. Go over there and have a look at that. Right, let's just have a look here. If those of you into the 120th anniversary Harley Davidson, the one in Europe, this is the 22nd to the 25th of June, there is a big announcement. Well, I got a press release the other day, and I thought, well, I'd leave it to a live show. But the rock group, The Darkness, are going to be headlining on the 24th of June. And it's The Darkness. He's the guy who would... he's got a YouTube channel. He talks about music. He's quite outspoken. The lead singer, whatever his name is, I've forgotten. But he always used to sing in a high voice, and that kind of thing. So anyway, The Darkness. That's your bag there, right? As you might have seen this week, the last week, and I've done quite a few blog posts and videos and things like that. I'm not going to talk about it again, but essentially, Harley Davidson, as we know, they've launched their X350 in China. I only found all the details on the Chinese Harley Davidson website, nowhere else. Justin Hawkins, thank you, Morris. That's right. That's the Darkness lead singer. He's got a good YouTube channel, actually. I watch it from time to time. But you know, but there we go. So, but they've launched it. But I still find it so weird. I find it so weird that Harley Davidson are not making a big noise about this in terms of global press. I just find it odd. I just think, well, you know, whilst it isn't on sale in other markets, it's only in sale in China right now. You would think you would still make a big play on it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But as I said in a previous live show, because they've also introduced these bikes, these X350s, into the riding academies in Harley Davidson in the United States. And if you go onto YouTube now, there's quite a few videos going on this. Actually, one of the viewers on this show, a veteran biker, I believe he's just done or recently did a video on them, showing them all lined up as well. But there's quite a few, you know, of them. Listen. Go and watch them if you're interested. But as I say, I'm just so surprised that they haven't made more of a deal about this, I've got to say. But there we go. Hey, what do I know, eh? Right, let me have a slurp of coffee. So if you go to my website, revelatoralf.com, I've got the full specs there. I've translated everything with a Google translator, and I've sort of matched it up where Harley Davidson specs would normally go. Anyway, I'll tell you what. Let me. It's probably best if I bring up my own website, and then I'll just read off the specs for you. Because where is it? You can see all here, all the different bikes. That here we go. The full. Is that the one? This one, the full specs. Get rid of that. Let me have a look. Yeah. So it's basically. Yeah, engine 31 Newton meters of torque, 7,000 RPM, 27 horsepower, 27 horsepower, 52 degrees lean angle to the left, to the right, and 51 degrees to the left. 4.95 litres fuel economy for 100 kilometers. What's the word? Yeah, there's the gear ratios there. Aluminium wheels. It's got 41mm inverted front forks, US upside down forks, and it's got monoshock rear. Well, it's a kind of a monoshock. Well, it is a monoshock, but it's kind of almost like a side-mounted monoshock. Rebound damping adjustable, preload adjustable shock absorber. It's got dual discs at the front, floating discs, and fixed disc at the back. It's got 4 piston brake calipers at the front, single brake piston caliper at the rear, LED lighting all around. And the interesting thing is that it's about 33,000 Chinese yen or whatever it is, or yuan, which is about 4,800 US dollars. Again, don't worry about the actual US dollars or nearly £4,000 UK pounds, because obviously we're dealing with exchange rates and things like that, so we could go, go way up there. Just TM13 surprise as well would be a great way to get younger people into HD. Yeah, the X350. I agree. I mean, as I say, lots of photos. I've got to say, it looks pretty good to me. You can see here. Maybe you can't really see here, but the middle photo at the top there. It's a monoshock, but it's a side-mounted monoshock, very similar to some of the other bikes, like Indian FTRs have that as well. King Cracker, hello, greetings from Hampton, Virginia. What a lovely part of the world that is too. But yeah, so again, I'm just really surprised that Harley Davidson have not made a big deal about this bike. I just, for the life of me, I just do not know why. I just do not know why. I just think it would be a great bike to have a look at. But there we go. Anyway, enough of me just talking about my own website. This is not what this show is about. It is really about what's out there in the motorcycle press, motorcycle magazines, online publications, what the news is for everything else. So really, that's what this was about. Okay, let's get on to the next one. Hold on. What was this story? It is right. I, again, every now and again, I'll feature Harley Davidson or any other company in terms of how they're doing in a financial business sense and everything like that. And every day you'll get conflicting, as I've said in previous shows, you get conflicting news articles or financial news articles. And in terms of companies like Harley Davidson, sometimes they're saying, yeah, they're doing great. Other times, no, they're doing really badly. And it's like this, up and down all the time, which is really, really confusing. Okay. But there's this, right. So this is an interesting story. It's basically barron's.com, and it's basically saying why Harley Davidson stock is acting like a bank. Now, if you're unfamiliar, in the United States right now, recently, you've got 3 banks that are in financial, dire straits. So they might have even collapsed, or they've had to get federal backing to save them. If you go onto YouTube, and there's an account, a YouTube channel called CoffeeZilla, right? I watch his shows from time to time. He breaks this down quite well and why these banks have failed. And it's not because they just didn't have the money. It was because a run was made to them. What this basically is, when a run is made on a bank, that means everybody wants to take their money out at the same time. And lots of people can be spooked into that, to take all the money out. It wasn't that they didn't have the money to give the people. It was a problem that the money that they had is all tied up in long-term investments. Let's say and I think the guy was saying they're all in like treasury bonds, but the problem is the treasury bonds were a much lower fixed interest rate yield, whereas because of inflation and high interest rates, now treasury bonds are being sold at not a much higher interest rate. So basically the value of their treasury bonds are a lot less. So they've lost capital, or they've lost money on those, the value of those. So to cash those in and then to try and pay off everybody, they're not gonna be able to make up the shortfall, as it were. So it's an interesting thing. So this story is it's quite interesting from. Sorry, I just got to do this. It's quite interesting from a Harley Davidson point of view in terms of why they're acting like a bank and how the stock is working and how the investment working. If you're interested, go and read it. It's from barron's.com. Go and have a look at it. Okay, right. Here's another story here. This is from. This is from a motorcycle, Chinese brand called Brixton. And I think they're Chinese brand, but it's like. I think the original European brand, but then they went over. I think Brixton Motorcycles, is an Austrian company specialised in bikes with retro. So I thought they had Chinese backing. I thought they were one of these Chinese-based companies or European-based design houses, but they're all manufactured in China. Let's read on a little bit and see what happens here. So Brixton Motorcycles is an Austrian company specialising in bikes with retro styling and contemporary technology. Go check out their website. There's some nice little retro bikes in there. Since its establishment in 2014, the company has grown rapidly in Europe and other parts of the world with the introduction of the Cromwell 1200. It's a 1200cc. Yeah, it's a bit goofy looking, but it's quite nice. Brixton's motorcycle range now includes a variety of bikes with variants ranging from 125 to 1200cc. So you've got a wide range of bikes. So here, this is their newest bike, the Felsberg. Although based in Austria, Brixton Motorcycles has a partnership, here we go, with Zhongshan, a Chinese motorbike manufacturer with a wealth of experience in producing motorbikes in all types of markets. Zhongshan and Brixton collaborate to ensure that their models are produced to their high quality and performance requirements. Okay, so I had a feeling they were one of these companies. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just sort of stating a fact that, but it looks pretty decent. I quite like this. I quite like these old sort of retro bikes. And I like small displacement bikes as well. But this Felsberg 125F. Like all Brixton models, has retro styling, single cylinder, air cooled, 11 horsepower, 10.5 newton meters of torque. I mean, let's face it, you're not pulling any tree roots out with that, are you? But hey, 5-speed gearbox, suspension system, telescopic front fork, and rear shocks. It's got a twin shocker, so that's quite old retro styling. It also has disc brakes on both wheels with ABS as optional extra. It's expected to hit European market in the second half of 2023. Don't know the prices of yet, but I'll tell you what. Let's see. Here's another picture of it. That's quite nice. I quite like that. Yeah, I like it when they've got these kind of accent pieces right in the center, just below the fuel tank, where they've got the drilled holes, that kind of thing. Yeah, I like that. It's kind of, it's, if you ignore the tank, it's very much like an old style scrambler trials bike. Like a 60s, 70s trials bike. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But yeah, I quite like that. But anyway, so that's Brixton Motorcycles here. Yeah, this is the story, which it's also on the website as well. Indian Motorcycles, they've basically made 29, or they're making 29 race replica bikes. They're called the Indian Challenger RR race replica. And the reason why it's only 29, it's a limited edition, is because that was the number of the winning racer from King of the Baggers last year, Tyler O'Hara's 2022 bike. Oh, here we go. We've got costing here. So, right, so and one of the things here, this is an updated story now, because when I wrote the story there wasn't this extra information, but here's the information. There's only 29 being made. It's only going to selected countries, right? Costing is in the region, wait for it, $100,000 US. What, you've got to love this kind of bike and this kind of race setup, right? But anyway, I mean, I'm not saying that race bikes don't cost that kind of much anyway, but I'm saying this is for public road anyway. So the UK is only getting one bike. Only get one bike, with the other 28 machines split between Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, and Japan. Okay, this is really interesting, because I thought that the original press release was intimating that it was also going to the United States and Canada, and not just around the world. So that's right. I also said it's Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, and Japan. I wonder how many people in these countries, these limited countries, would be willing to spend $100,000 US, on that. Yeah. So the Challenger would ordinarily produce 120 brake horsepower, 131 foot-pounds of torque at just 3,800 RPM. But let's have a look here. Unlike the standard 26,795 pound UK pound machine, obviously now we're talking about $100,000 US. Oh, it doesn't actually say what the horsepower would be on this new one. Yeah, let's have a look here. No. Okay, so it's got some specs on it, but I mean, it looks fruity, that's for sure. I'm not sure how many people are going to want to buy. Obviously, it's not going to look like this. Because these are the actual race bikes. But it's got the race spec. If you go to my website, it's got all the spec of them there as well. But $100,000 US, crikey. And interesting, it's not going to the US market, which I find astounding, really. I thought, well, surely if it's going to go anywhere, it would go to the US market, wouldn't it? But there we go. Right, here's an interesting one. Another story here from, what is it, Visor Down. Basically saying that the new motorcycle sales are down in the UK, and also this has been replicated in other countries as well from other articles which I've read. But they're basically saying here in the UK that new registrations have fallen by 8%. Now, this is nothing new in terms of what would normally happen this time of year. You always get a huge dip, and it starts to pick up again in sort of March, April, May, that kind of thing. But basically saying for year on year, they're saying about the sales figures have reduced by 7.28%, something like that. And yeah, they go into all the figures and break down all the figures and everything like that. I mean, why is that happening? Well, as I've said time and time again, unfortunately, time and time again, you know, you're dealing with rising costs. You know, people thinking, should I buy a brand new motorcycle? Should I not? Should I sell? You know, all this kind of stuff. You know, and people are prioritizing. Here's another story here. Norton Motorcycles honours Beatrice Shilling. This is the great niece or great grandniece of this lady, Beatrice Shilling, who with a 1938 Honda International. That basically this lady, Beatrice Shilling, she became one of 3 women to win the Gold Star at Brooklands Circuit, just outside London, completing a lap with an average speed of 101 miles per hour on her very own Norton M30 500cc in 1934. So basically, this is now a very famous British female racer, and now this bike has gone on display at the Coventry University, I believe, yeah. And they've named a building after her, a Beatrice Shilling building. And the reason why is that she was a pioneering mechanical engineer in both the fields of motorsport and STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But then anyway, so that's a nice little story there if you're into that. Okay, here's another story here. I'm quickly pushing over this because there's a few other things. Leonard Motors presents the Rigger, its first motorcycle. I'm not going to talk about this motorcycle in particular, but what I wanted to go to Rider Part, and you'll see the story here and the specs and everything like that. It's quite it's quite interesting. Leonard was formed in 2004 in the bustling city of Barcelona, and obviously it's electric bikes. The interesting thing here is that there's so many startup companies, motorcycle companies, that are producing electric bikes, and you could do it. You could do this yourself quite simply. Well, not quite simply, but with a little bit of acumen and a little bit of forethought. You could set up your own motorcycle company, electric motorcycle company, and with relative success, you'll be able to bring a bike to market. Especially, if you go hand in hand with some Chinese manufacturers, ready-made battery packs, this kind of thing. So you design something yourself as well. I just wonder how many of these companies will feature in the future. How long will they last? Will they go out of business, or will they go from strength to strength? This kind of reminds me a little bit. Of the bicycle era, pre 1900s bicycle era, where there's so many manufacturers building some kinds of bicycles, and then only a few sort of remained, and then a few went into motorcycling as well. But there we go. TM13A, Brad Pitt and Jay Leno were for the 29 Indians. Yeah, Jay Leno, didn't he just crash his Indian as well? Is that the one he got burnt on as well? I don't know. I don't know about Brad Pitt. Has he got an Indian or whatever? I'd be very surprised if those Indians aren't going to the US market as well. But anyway, listen. So this is the Leonard Rigger. It looks like a decent sort of bike here, if you like that kind of thing. It's got a Rigger's performance further enhanced by a 72-volt battery. Covers up to 94 kilometers in a single charge. Value contender for riders who value both dependability and practicality. Maximum speed 60 miles an hour. Yeah. I mean, it's not 5,400 euros, 5,900 US dollars. As I say, there are bikes now, these electric bikes. They are kind of 125cc equivalent sort of bikes. 4,500, 5,000 pounds, dollars, shekels, you know. So they've become a lot more affordable. The low-powered versions of electric bikes are a lot more affordable, and you know, if hand on heart, I'd probably be very tempted myself. You know, if I was looking for just a short commuter, short bike, or going into, if I worked in town, I just wanted to go and ride it. I think I would go for something like this. If I had to buy a brand new small bike, I think I would lean towards an electric one. A big bike, I wouldn't. I would definitely still go petrol and everything. But a small bike, you know, if I'm a city slicker, let's say, and I'm just riding around town, I think an electric bike would work well for a lot of people. You know, I just did a feature on on the website. If you go there, Beachman Motorcycles from Canada, doing some retro cool electric bikes as well. Go check them out on the website revelatoralf.com. But I say there's lots of these small motorcycle manufacturers, electric motorcycle manufacturers. Let's say a big fan I am of the British one called Maving, and they do sort of retro, really kind of, they almost look something that would be from a cross between something from the 1920s, 1930s, and something that's got a bit of 60s in it, and something, you know, there's a bit of 80s there as well. Do you know what I mean? But they look really cool and really funky as well. So I'm getting to be quite a fan of this sort of size electric bike. I'm not a fan yet of the big hyper electric bikes that are going to cost you crazy amounts of money. But what I think with these bikes, you know, whether you could buy them for about £4,000 or £5,000, dollars, shekels, I think they've got value there. TM13A, seen more vids of electric bikes in big cities. Does seem to way to get around quick. Yeah, I agree. I think they have their place, right? They have their place. If you are, as I say, in the cities, or, you know, short distances on the open road or whatever, you want to go on some back roads, have a bit of fun, you're only going to do 20, 30, 40 miles, you know, in a day, you're not interested in really going fast, look, I think I'd be interested. I think a lot of people would, and this, as I say, this article says here, it does open itself up to, you know, people who might be younger, getting into the industry, or biking, getting into motorcycling, I should say, but also they don't have the finances for, you know, big money as well. Yeah, so look, all I can say, that I suppose that the point I was trying to make on this little short piece about electric is not really to highlight this bike, which it does look a good thing. It's just that there's so many of these entry-level bikes or small motorcycle manufacturers that are just specialised in electric bikes now, and you just wonder in 5, 10, 15 years time, will they still be around? Will they still be around, or will they merge with other motorcycle manufacturers or other electric motorcycle manufacturers, or will they be swallowed up, or will they just go out of business where people aren't buying them? But I think the best chance that they've got right now is to produce these kinds of bikes, which will appeal to people on limited budgets, but who, you know, it's a very niche market of saying, all I want to do is just zip in and out of traffic and that kind of thing, you know. So yeah, I'm a big fan there. Okay, here we got a quick story here. Here we got police in the UK, I believe. They're getting a Kawasaki Ninja H2 SXs. Sports Tourers, £25,000, 197 brake horsepower. They're going to be used by the police, I believe. Is that right? North Yorkshire. We want the motorcycle community to come to North Yorkshire. Traffic Constable and Road Safety Officer Mark Hutchins told. They bring money to the economy. There's lots of benefits. So basically, they're going to use this bike to attract people, but also nick you as well if you're going over the speed limit, or also chase you as well. Chase you, I would imagine, as well. But hey, look, you know, it's cool. The HUSX is the bike of the moment. It will be unmarked. There we go. But with all the enforcement capabilities, it will have blue lights and has 4K cameras kit fitted. There we go. So if you see a green and black Ninja H2SX riding around North New Yorkshire, guess what? You know it's the old Bill. You know, I think they probably should have kept that to themselves. You know what I mean? Or just have it completely livered up. You know, that's a bit sneaky deaky there for me, but there we go. You know, well, it is what it is. You know, what can I say? It's a cracking bike though. They are great bikes. The Kawasaki. You know, I've had previous incarnations, as it were. Here we go. Again, Kawasaki as well. They're in the news right now. In the news, Kawasaki have filed trademarks on a name and logo for its hydrogen motorcycle project. So this is they've worked on this. Is quite an interesting one. Go to Visor Down, you'll see it. But it's about hydrogen fuel cells as well, and where they would put the hydrogen fuel cells on and swappable hydrogen fuel cells as well. Because it's not about the hydrogen. It's about keeping it compressed enough so it stays in liquid form. So that's the problem of hydrogen, and obviously it's highly combustible. I won't go into the article there, but you just read it yourself as well. Here, another one here. Buell have donated 3TT Race and EBR 1190s donated to the Vintage Motorcycle Museum here as well. I mean, they're nice, aren't they? I am a fan of Buell, I've got to say. I am a fan. But anyway, you can go read that story as well. Okay, listen, this is two things I want to quickly talk about, and that's it. The story of this show is I'm selling up. Well, one of the reasons why I'm selling up some of my bike projects. Well, one, I haven't decided whether I'm going to sell it, but I may do, and that's the Kawasaki Moriwaki build. And the other one is the 125, the Uriahu Marathon, which is a completed bike. It's just I haven't ridden it in such a long time. The MOT's ran out of it, and I've just started it up just now. I started it up a few weeks ago, but I've never ridden it since. I just started up just to see how it goes, and I think, do you know what? I'm just not going to ride it. And I think it's just taken up space in here, and I think, well, I've had a bit of fun with it. So I've put it on eBay to sell. I mean, I don't know. If somebody makes me an offer, what can I say? I might just let it go for silly money. For me, it still needs work, and for me, you know, I was always I had in mind whilst I got it up and running as well. I would have been looking to do an engine change on it as well, because that's a worn out engine. Whilst it's still running, I would still say, you know, just do something different with it. But you know, I'll put an honest advert out for it, and I think there's no point in me keeping it if I'm not going to ride it. So it's just taking up room in the workshop, which I don't need. The other bike, it's truth be known, I've lost momentum on it. I've definitely lost momentum on it, as a lot of projects go, but it's not through the want of not wanting to do it. It's more that I've just been distracted by so many other things as well recently. So I'm going to hold on to that one, because as I say, it's this year I won't, if I do get it on the road, I won't need any insurance. Sorry, I'll need insurance. I won't need an MOT on it. I just need insurance and tax on it. So, and I can get this bike on the road, take it to a couple of shows, have a bit of fun with it. So I think I'm going to keep it, because it's a 750cc. I think it'd be a bit more fun. The 125 was fun, but I think for the off-road version, whilst it's still fun going off-road with it, I think what I would do, I would look to get a 250 300cc bike to do some off-roading as well. So, you know, if I find a cheap one of those that is intact, let's say, that I could just freshen up, I think I would. I think I may do that. I think that's what I'm thinking about this 125, is just sell it and maybe get a cheap 250 300cc sort of off-road capable bike. But I say I haven't. Yeah, as another little side project, but it won't be much of a project. It'll be just to quickly get it. So I'm just selling that because I don't use it, unfortunately. It's sad. I find it really sad, you know, that I buy these things and I just don't use them. So there we go. What can you say? Okay, so that's it. I mean, I've had to sort of change things around quite a lot. Let me get rid of that. I've had to change things around quite a lot in what I'm doing with the channel, and where I'm going to go for the future. Again, there's a bit of a state of flux at the moment. I still enjoy doing what I'm doing in terms of the live shows, and how often I can do them. really depends. But I'm still hoping to do those. I'm still hoping to diversify into other topics as well, and not just always talk about motorcycles, but talk about other things as well. But mostly motorcycles, of course. And these motorcycle news shows, I quite enjoy. But there are going to be some changes as well to the main channel. I've been experimenting. If you watch my channel, you've been experimenting with lots of different things, lots of different video formats, the shorts, different videos for the last couple of months, 2 or 3 months. And yeah, once again, some things work, some things don't. It's just the way it is, I think. So I think you just got to look at that and see how we go. But anyway, so still, you know, I'm not so concerned about trying to pump out lots of content at the moment. I'm just sort of taking a step back, taking stock of what I need, trying to sell my bike, one of the bikes, and see how we go. But I say, you know, if I do sell it, then I'll let you know. But it's one of those things. TM13A, enjoy the shorts. Well, thank you. So I will be, you know, I'm sort of wondering what I can do. So, you know, there's a lot of brainstorming. That's the word I was looking for. I was trying to brainstorm what the word was, but brainstorm. So I'm trying to brainstorm the content for the future anyway. But anyway, listen, so that's what's coming out. Lots of stuff going on in the background. I don't want to bore you with it. I don't want to bore you and tell you how much stress I'm under, and oh god, how much, you know, life is really you know, it's, yes, that happens to us all, doesn't it? But you know, there are challenges, let's put it that way. I'm going to sugarcoat it, but there are lots of challenges on at the moment. So I've had to do a lot of rethinking. And this has been in the last few days, so it's just so you know. So there's going to be a few changes. Anyway, listen, enough of me rabbling on, because the next thing is, if I can just do this, I really need to get these out. Where is it? There we go. Hold on. I've lost my page. There we go. Right. Okay, here we go. Right, let me just put this on. The main story. Okay. Now, where is it? The main story is okay, so do that. So the main story from Harley Davidson right now. We were always wondering what was happening with the CVOs. What's going on with these CVOs for 2023? What are the specifications on them, what kind of engine is coming on them, and all that sort of stuff. Well, we have a leak, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. Okay, so this comes from a magazine called motorcycle.com. They've got a story here where it's the Harley Davidson CVO Road Glide and CVO Street Glide leaked, and it's saying that the CVOs are getting, wait for it, 121 cubic inch engine, new fairings, and inverted forks. So Harley Davidson released the bulk of its 23 lineup, January the 18th, but we're always waiting for the custom vehicle operations, the CVOs, right? So basically what they're saying here, we may not have to wait much longer, as videos of the new CVO Road Glide and CVO Street Glide have popped up online, revealing some big changes to CVO models and perhaps a sign of what's to be expected for the 2024 lineup. So for the general lineup, because usually what happens is you got the CVO bikes and some of that trickles down into the other bikes as well. So, I mean, this is the interesting thing here. So this is, there's leaks here. So I'll just quickly show you the videos. But basically what it says, all versions of the video show 3 different images, 2 of the CVO Road Glide and 1 of a CVO Street Glide. The platforms carrying the bikes and markers like a RA3 sign in the background of the CVO Street Glide image are similar to what is used in Harley Davidson's factory in York, PA, leading us to believe the pictures to be real. The first things we noticed is that Harley Davidson 2 CVO models have new fairing designs The CVO Glide signature shark nose fairing has a noticeably different shape, with the top edge in a convex shape compared to the concave shape of the existing Road Glide fairing. There we go. Let me just, I'll tell you what, so let me just show you the pictures here. So this is what they look like right now. This is on the right hand side, that's the existing one. On the left hand side, it's a different shape. Yeah, it's more of a, I don't know what it is. It's more of a rounded shape, a big rounded shape. Yeah, so it's 121 cubic inch engine. That's what it is. It definitely says that on the side there, on the engine casing there. Larger engine comes as no surprise, but now with the SCC models breakout all coming with the M8 117, yeah, we were expecting a bigger engine, the 121. Yeah, they're saying a little surprise it's not the 122 cubic engine offered as a Screaming Eagle Stage 3 upgrade, but this is the 121. Yeah, crab claw TM138. It does look a little crab. It does look weird. This could be just from the angle we're seeing it. Nestled between the cylinders on the left-hand side, the CVO Road Glide has a different module from the 2022 model. On the older model, this was the horn, but the smaller unit on the 23 model appears to be the same ignition coil currently used on various Softail and Rev Max 1250s. Okay. The front wheel design is a match for the combo cast wheel Harley-Davidson currently offers as an accessory for CVO Road Glides. On the newer model, however, is suspended by an inverted forks and paired with two radial mounted Brembo calipers. From the left side, it does not look like the fork has the wire leads for the Pan America's special adaptive ride height. Okay. So there we go. Look, this is basically, let me just bring this all the way back down here. So this is what it's saying, that these are the CVO Road Glide and the CVO Street Glide for 2023. This is going to come very soon. It's coming out of the factory right now. It looks as if this is the American factory, which it's coming out of. Who's taking these photos? Why they've been leaked? I could not say, but I tell you what, let's have a look here. Yeah, it's. I'm just trying to think. There isn't actually. This is the. There we go. You can see that picture a little bit better. It is a bit of a funny looking new design on the Road Glide, I gotta say. Again, I'm gonna have to see this, see if I like the look of it, but it is a big change. I'll give them that. The Street Glide, not so much a big change, I don't think. There is, but there seems to be much more of an air scoop on the top of the Street Glide, but the Road Glide is a big difference. It's a big difference, I say. Yeah, it looks oversized. I would agree. I think it looks oversized for what it is. But, you know, LED lighting, I would imagine it's on there as well. So dual discs at the front, radial mounted brakes. Yeah, it's wire wheels on there as well. Yeah, but it's 100. I suppose the biggest use is, you know, styling changes, and you know, big news that there's a styling changes and also the 121 cubic inch engine. So there we go. That's it. I'll tell you what. Do you want to see the video? Let me just show it. I don't know if it'll play. It probably won't play. So let's just see. This is from. It's on YouTube, but I don't know. I'm not sure if this will. Okay, here we go. Right, all they've done here is just show the pictures, which I've just shown you. I'm not sure if the music was coming through. I don't think it would have been. Let me just make sure this. Hold on a second. No, it isn't. There we go. Let me just put the audio up there as well. Hold on. So you can hear there's just that music going through in the background, but it's It's just showing the pictures. I don't want to put too much of that. But there we go. So that is, yeah, new details here. Yeah, so look, the 2023, you see the coil on the left-hand side looks different. This one here on the left-hand side, that just looks like the coil from, yeah, what I've got on my bike as well. Very similar there. Yeah. There are definite changes. There are definite changes. It just looks bigger. It looks bigger as in wider and more forward pronounced. Yeah, TM30, you like the green one. That's the 2022. That's the existing one. This is the 2023 on the left. Look, all I can say is you don't know until you know, do you? You don't know until you know. You don't know until you see it. And I'll be interested to see what it is. But again, 121 cubic inch engine. Both the Street Glide and the Road Glide CVOs have got styling changes. Some obviously in terms of the Road Glide is big changes. The other ones not so much on the Street Glide. Yeah, a few. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to talk about as well. But there we go. That's it. That is the, well, that's it. That's what it is from Harley Davidson. The big news coming out of Harley Davidson, leaked information here, is that they got a brand new CVO Street Glide and a brand new CVO Road Glide with a 121 engine, 121 cubic inch engine, and a big new nose fairing for the Road Glide, and maybe a little changes here and there. But there we go. That's it. That's all there is. That's your lot. That's all we've got. That's all we've got. Right. Anyway, listen, guys. All I can say is it's been emotional. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for enjoying. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I should say, not thanks for enjoying. Bit presumptuous of me, but I hope you enjoyed it. That's the latest news from me. That's the latest news from Harley Davidson. That's the latest news from the motorcycle world, electric bike world, whatever you want. It's all out there. Go and read some of these stories for yourself, and I'll be back for another show, more videos, more shorts at some point soon. And I'll catch you again. Bye now. It's been emotional. Cheers.